Even though most of my content or my videos on YouTube have to do with like personality disorders, high conflict types, divorce and custody, I mainly do that just because I know that there's such this humongous, massive void of good information out there when it comes to divorce court, custody issues, high conflict types, and that type of stuff. So that's kind of why I do a lot of those videos. But week in and week out, my bread and butter really has to do with working with teenagers and working with families, reestablishing, restoring, or even creating a sense of family bliss. I see a lot of young parents with their first teenager, the oldest, it's just a lot of conflict. And so that's the other part of my expertise. And um, currently I'm working on another online course for some effective ways to work with teenagers or to parent teenagers because they're a very challenging bunch, and unlocking the key to working or talking, communicating, or just managing the house with your teenager is a challenge. So make sure that you subscribe and kind of stay tuned because I will definitely put out a video when my course is up. I call it my Parenting 4x4. It's basically 4 roles and 4 skill sets for parenting teenagers, but there's a ton more to it. So it's going to have some assignments and some objectives for you. So make sure that you kind of stay tuned for that. I will definitely announce it. But today we're going to talk about the mom factor, what I call the mom factor. It's really funny because I see this all the time. Like I will sit with a family. Sometimes it's a mom and a kid, or both parents and a kid, or even a dad and a kid. And during the process, I will be talking to the teenager and trying to teach them things. And the kid will often be like, "Oh wow, they seem super duper responsive," and the parent is sitting there kind of rolling their eyes like, "I've been saying this for years. Why is it why is it when he says it, suddenly it's like revolutionary for you, and how come when I say it, it just falls on deaf ears?" Well, that's what I call the mom factor. And we did it when we were teenagers. I mean, your parents could tell you all day, it's cold, wear a coat, it's cold, wear a coat, it's cold, wear a coat. And you go outside and go, gee whiz, it's cold, I should have worn a coat. If it had come from someone else, if your friends had said it, you might have been like, oh, okay. And we just know that that's sort of how teenagers work. And I do believe that there are different ways to kind of mitigate that or reduce the mom factor when it comes to parenting a teenager or working with a teenager. And a lot of it has to do with kids just don't like to be told what to do. Frankly, I'm still kind of that way. I never grew out of it. I mean, I think that's true for most people. We just don't like being told what to do, but that's true for teenagers. And as they grow up, it's important for them to assert their independence and their autonomy and explore their freedoms. It's very important for teenagers to be able to do that. When you infringe on those values of a teenager, the less likely they are to listen to you. And so your delivery has to change. And so, for example, I like asking questions. Do you think it's cold out there? Getting their take, listening to what they have to say, or putting it into form of a question. Do you think it's cold out there? Does it look cold out there to you? Have you been outside? Do you think it's cold? I heard it's going to be cold. Maybe it is. I don't know. Kind of taking that approach because what too many parents do is like, it's cold out there, wear a coat. And immediately the kid is like, don't tell me what to do. They'd rather freeze their butts off than be told what to do. It really has to do with the approach. How you approach a kid and how you approach a situation with a kid can vastly change the outcome. Now, a lot of parents believe that because it comes from a therapist, well, the kids are more likely to listen. And while that may be true, I've seen plenty of teenagers who have not listened to an ounce of what a therapist has told them. And I really believe that it has more so to do with my approach. It does certainly help, I think, maybe coming from a professional, but try to come at it from an equal plane. Not, I'm the parent and you're the child and I just tell you what to do. Kids just don't respond well to that in general. They don't like authority. They're hardwired that way. And I try to come at it and make the argument that, hey, if you love your kid, if you want the best for him, for them. It sounded like I said for them. If you want for your kids, if you truly care about them getting a good outcome or being happy and healthy and successful, then I don't think it's unreasonable to ask parents to say, hey, change your approach, soften it up, come at it from a different angle, try a different method. And again, the kids like the equilateral thing. They kind of like the sort of you bringing them into the decision. I'm a big fan of any time that there's a conversation having to do with a decision made about the kid, that when possible, as much as possible, the kid participates in that discussion. In fact, I like to put the kid in the driver's seat as much as possible. If the kid is struggling in school, I like to ask the kid, well, what's your plan to fix it? Because I'm going to ask your parents to back if you come up with a good plan, and then they'll be off your back, and you've solved two problems. And kids appreciate being part of the discussion. I think the mom factor is actually really, really noticeable, because too many parents come at it from, I'm just telling you what to do, type of angle, right? And when they're 7, that's fine. Hey, go wash your hands. When they're 15, 16, you got to start switching it up. You got to start adjusting it. Even earlier than that, 12, 13. The more that you can kind of raise them up to have more responsibility, the better. And I like to teach kids that they want freedom. Kids tell me they want freedom all the time. I hear this every day. I want freedom. I want to be able to make my own decisions. And I always tell them, if you want more freedom, you have to exercise responsibility. You want freedom, you buy it by being responsible. That's just how the world works. So anyways, yeah, mom factor and some ideas on how to reduce the mom factor. So once again, make sure you like and subscribe. Stay tuned for my parenting course that I will make available on Udemy. Have a good one.